Next Gen Millionaires. Man. Okay. How's it going today? How's it going this week? Um, I'm here in my weekly live stream, which I wonder we'll go over a few admin things and then we're going to dive in and get to talking about the topic of today, right? And really it's about attitude overall. Um, but admin things overall, real fast. Um, for sake of watching and cataloging and allowing other people outside this group to see these videos on a weekly basis. Not the first. I want to promise you, you guys get this first every week. That have finally set up my YouTube channel and I will be posting videos over there as well. So if you're in Facebook every now and again, but you want to watch these weekly live streams, they will be posted on YouTube as well. And I will post the link to inside the comments. Right now I don't have enough subscribers to create a customized link, so you'll just have to click there. So just one real admin thing up front. Okay, cool. Let's dive into today. Never mind, it just went blank. So you see the real inside of the world of Joe here. Oh, okay, cool. Your attitude or our attitude is always changeable, right? And I want to talk about the attitudes of money overall. And if you haven't downloaded it, if you need a refresher for it, you can go to www.attitudesofmoney.com and download the PDF. And there's a quick assessment. It's quick. This inside of there that will tell you which attitude of the 10 that you are struggling most with right now. And I say that right now because we can always kind of come to grips with that attitude and that space and where we're at and up level to the point where that's not the one that's causing us problems. So if you haven't done it for a while, go back and do it again. You probably will get a different answer. And that's totally okay, right? Because I know that if you change one or change the attitude or your struggle with one of them, then your world will start to change and you'll start to see more income come into your life. I see it every time. We don't have to be experts in all 10. Okay? We don't have to be experts in all the other ones that I don't even talk about. Okay? Just understand where you're at. And that's the biggest thing I want to talk about today, just the attitudes in general. Right? Because we talk about, and I talk week to week about different attitudes usually. And go specific and talk about, which one you can focus on for the week and take a look at this and maybe give you a different perspective. I was thinking today, I'm like, what am I going to live stream about? Right? I have a small schedule set up based upon what people ask, the comments I hear, just conversation I have throughout the week. But today I'm like, none of that seems fitting for where people are at right now. So I was thinking, okay, well, if I just sit back and look at the attitudes overall, right? What's our attitude as we show up in the world? What's our attitude? Like, really, how do we show up? How are we presenting ourselves in a way that allows us to gain prosperity, wealth, and abundance in our lives? And you got to stop for just a minute and be like, what am I doing? What hardships am I in right now? Because let me tell you what, no matter how much money you make, there will always be problems and hardships, right? Life would not be entertaining enough, I guess you could say, overall, if that were the case. Like we look for that. We're trying to progress all the time. With each level progression, we always end up with different problems. So if we look at the attitudes overall, it's our attitude, it's the way we present ourselves, it's how we show up that will determine what our results are. And I talk a bunch, and if you any of you heard, right, we look at results and we're like, well, how do I get a different result? That amount of money I made this last quarter is not what I wanted. So we go back and be like, well, maybe I could change like X, Y, and Z in my business, or I'm gonna go hire a business coach to tell me what to do, so then I can get the result I want. And in some cases that works. In some cases we have a different result. In most cases, right? Hire a business coach, they're helpful. They can help you see what you don't see. And your result changes. And then you're like, cool, I'll keep doing that. And then we hit a wall and we might hire somebody else. This becomes a problem. What I do know, though, is the action is not where the problem is at. The action masks what the real problem is, right? Our attitude, the way we think, the way we believe, the way we show up, that's the problem. and we mask it with actions because we're just in action and constantly just doing things, then eventually we'll get there. And you are right, you eventually will get there. Now, I don't care how much money you make. If you can't master yourself first, if you can't understand how your emotions and your feelings and the thoughts that you have impact your actions, you will make money. But if you can't master that, if you can't even understand what's going on, you won't make as much as you could. Now, if you know me very well, money's not my end goal, right? I cheer my clients on when they make money because what I know is that the more money we make, the more impact we can create, the bigger legacy we can leave for those who come after us. See, the end goal isn't about money. It's always about what we can leave behind and how can we make this world a better place than where we started from. And that is what is most important. But it's our attitude, right? If we always go into every situation, every relationship thinking like, hey, how can I make money off this person? We're never going to get very far. We're going to burn through a lot of relationships. But if we can see, how can I show up and serve? How can I show up and do something different today and not chase the money? It will always show up. You know, I look back at life for Debbie and I, right? And if you followed us for very long, you've heard about our story in 2008, Debbie's PTSD experiences, right? And looking back at where we were and what was happening, you know, I look back at that and I'm like, it was my attitude that showed up and how I started changing things. And here's the thing I want you to know. It wasn't me putting pressure on myself that helped me change my attitude for what I needed to do to make more money, to help move my family out of the space it was in. And I'll be the first to, I'll be the first to acknowledge that. It took me years after that happened for me to kind of wake up. Subconsciously, I did what I had to stay alive. And when I say that, I think a lot of people think, well, Joe, you weren't experiencing much hardship. Like your family was, but like you had a good job. You know, things seemed to be going fairly well. Obviously, Debbie was, you know, working through PTSD. And I thought about it one day and I'm like, why? Like I was struggling, but from a really emotional level, but I myself wasn't experiencing the actual hardship, right? It was all secondary PTSD and experiences and things like that through the lens of somebody else, somebody that I loved. And when I started looking back at it, I was like, you know what? Here's where my attitude changed. My attitude changed because it had to, because somebody's life depended on it. Debbie's life depended on me changing in that moment so that I could have creative solutions to take care of my family. Right? I just want that to sink in for a second. I didn't change because I woke up one day and like, hey, cool. Outside life happened to us. And I made a determination that no matter what cost, I'm going to keep her alive. So I had to make some decisions so that she could go to get the medical care she needed, right? So she could have the space she needed to process what was going on. And with a glimmer of hope, possibly start to heal. We had plenty of medical people, plenty of experts in our lives that told us that life would never be the same, that she would ever only be able to get on medication, mind you, only be able to get to about 80% of the person she used to be. And her and her fiery, if you know Debbie, her and her fiery attitude, she's like, nope, not going to do it. I'm going to create my own set of rules. Right? She changed her attitude in a way that I'm going to make my own rules and I'm just going to march along life the way I want. And she did. And she still does. See, her attitude was what brought her out of that, with a lot of help from a lot of different professionals and people. But if she hadn't have wanted to, then there's nobody that could have forced her. My goal, right, when I look back at my brain, my goal at that time was, I got to take care of my family. I got to take care of her. I got to make sure she stays on this planet if that is what she wants. I have to make that possible. And that was my short-term goal. So I changed my attitude. I started figuring out what I had to do to make more money, to pay down debt, to really create a place of safety for her. And through that, it allowed her to process what was going on. It allowed her to start the healing process. It allowed me to understand, hey, what do I know about money, right? And it created this wonderful framework I have today. So look at your lives. Sometimes you're going to have that existential wake up and be like, no, it's me pushing forward. Sometimes it's going to be somebody else. Don't judge it. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you step into life the way you want to step into life, and that you choose an attitude of growth over an attitude of, that's too hard, I don't want to do it. Or, I mean, you could stay there. That's totally cool as well. But if you want to move forward, it's time to change the attitude. It's time to change your attitude. It's time to understand, how are you showing up when it comes to money in your life? How are you showing up when it comes to relationships? And not all relationships, that's too much to handle, but with yourself, with those loved ones, with your family. How are you showing up? And when you figure out how you're showing up, figure out, is it how you want to show up? Because that's not always how we want to be showing up. And once you figure that out, ask yourself, what do I need to do different tomorrow? Because it happens one step at a time. It doesn't happen overnight. We're not going to magically wake up one day and be like, oh, I have the best relationship with money, have the best relationship with myself and my family, and it's all just like awesome. I listened to a seminar, I listened to one of Joe's videos, and now everything's changed. That's not how it works. It takes consistent, small steps to get to where you want to go. And I'm challenging you today to start taking that step. So think about that. Think about the attitude you have. Think about these thoughts, these feelings, these beliefs, these emotions that show up inside of you. Start changing those, identifying those, because they will impact your actions, and your actions will impact your results. Or you can go the slow route and just keep working on your actions and hope that they drum up something in a way that's going to change your results. And sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Don't get caught in that trap. Figure out where you're at with your money. Figure out where you're at with yourself, with your family. And just take those next steps. Okay? Cool. That's it for this week. So we'll see you next week, and we'll have another fun topic to talk about. I want to, if you have questions or comments, definitely drop them in the comments below. I like to read them. I'll answer any questions. So if you have questions, be like, Joe, what about this? Drop it there. I mean, not everybody gets access to me like this, so use it while you got it. So until next week, we'll see ya. Bye.